son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. I'm here with Jamie and Adrian as always, and we have all the action for you at the Bristol this week for the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race, a 500-lap affair at the fastest half mile. The premium this week is going to be on laps led and fastest laps, so the key facts you need to know about this race is 11 of the last 12 races have been won by JGR and or Penske at Bristol. 7 JGR wins and 4 Penske wins. Logano won the last 2 night races here. It looks to be 50-50 on whether or not weather will be a factor this week for the race. So they laid a new grip agent this week, for this race to create 2 awesome lanes of racing. Because last in the spring we saw that the bottom lap was an issue for people to pass on. That won't be an issue this time around with the new grip agent. So we should have some awesome racing this week. With that said, it's time to get into the racing action. Adrian, it's time to burn some rubber. Liehr?
Burning Bristol rubber, baby! Woo!
Adrian, who do you got for us this week to burn some rubber, buddy?
Good to be back, guys, after an off week. I'm really excited for this week's show because we have a lot of good content to bring to you guys. This week for my burning rubber pick, guys, I haven't really been picking him on the show a lot lately. He hasn't really been hurting me a lot because, at most, here lately, he's been getting about 60 points, which is actually pretty good for Kevin Harvick. But this weekend, he started in the 24th position. There's a lot of guys I want to pick, that are at the top of the board, a lot of fast guys like the JGR guys. But when I'm looking at the qualifying order, guys, it just stands out so much, the fact that Kevin Harvick in that caliber of equipment is starting in the 24th position. Just with the speed that team's shown in 2016 alone, I just think it's a perfect storm for them to move up through the field and get a good finish out of tonight at Bristol. Harvick's a good driver at Bristol. He hasn't necessarily had the outstanding stats. I'm not going to have any good stats to throw out you. But if you've been paying attention and haven't been living under a rock in 2016 and 2015 and 2014, for that matter, too, the past 4 years, Kevin Harvick's one of the elite drivers. I'd say he's one of the top 3 drivers in the series. Get a driver, his price tag kind of, follows that too. And he will hurt some of the lineups you're trying to build if you put him in there. But starting from the 24th position, with him, in my opinion, he's a lock for a top 5. And with all those place differential points you're going to be gaining, and if Harvick can get up to the lead in the race is 500 laps, guys, with some kind of strategy, Rodney Childers can put those guys on an island, which they're going to be needing to do some strategy to get to the front starting that far back. Maybe Harvick could lead some laps and really, really pay off his salary and make us be looking even better. But like I said, you're just not going to find this quality of equipment in the back. Since the All-Star break, guys, since Charlotte, he's had 8 of 10 top 10 finishes in 2016. So that team really came out of the gates after the All-Star break and has really been trying to put some, good finishes together to build momentum towards the chase. Like I said, Harvick's just the perfect target if you're looking for a guy for place differential. His salary is a lot, and I understand that. Guys, it's so hard not to pick him because he's going to be at the front battling for that win tonight.
Yeah, it's hard, just like you stated, but it's hard to actually get somebody like that at the back of the field. And, I'm sorry, but anytime that Kevin Harvick is starting past the 20th spot, even when he's starting on the pole, you always have to make him a consideration as a play on one of your teams because, the guy is just one of the most tenured guys in the circuit, and, he's always going to have a chance to win. And here at Bristol, when he's starting from that position and has that chance to move up through the field. Now, granted, it could take a while for that to happen, because it is hard to pass here at Bristol. But hence that's why they, wanted to get the bottom part of the track competitive as well, because they want to see more of that, racing and more of the passing and making it more interesting. But Harvick is always going to be a play, and especially this week. It is a little tough to get him on your lineups because he is 10,400. Costs the second most out of all of them, but he's got one win here back in 2005. but most times he's been in the top 10, 14 out of 31 races that he's raced here. So, I mean, it's really hard not to stick him on your lineups and go with him because he's going to end up with at least a top 10, if not a top 5 finish, with hopefully some lap sled in some of those 500 laps. So, but it is Bristol, and anything can go. But hoping Mr. Harvick in the number 4 Busch Light can get it done this week.
Well, boys, I am also on the Harvick train this week. Little different version of the hat, but you guys are just right. Anytime he starts further on than 20th, you just have to roster him, and it really doesn't matter what his price is because in order to have the winning lineup in a GPP, you're going to have his place differential as a factor. What I would do for race vision this week is take who you have leading the most laps, instantly pair them with Harvick, and start there from your lineup and move on. That's what I've been doing. Other than that, man, I've got nothing to say other than what you guys have already covered. So let's move on to Liehr's pick. Liehr, who do you got for us this week to burn some rubber, buddy?
Well, going with the guy that's had quite a bit of success here as of late. Going with the number 22 and Joey Logano. Logano's had a nice 2016 season. He currently sits 6th in the driver standings with 1 win this season, and he's simply dominated here as of late at Bristol. The last 2 night races with winning both of them. Joey Bag of Donuts has got 15 starts here, 2 wins, the last 2 coming at Bristol within the last 2 years for the night race. He's got 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. His average finish here will throw some people off, and may help you in lowering his ownership percentage. But his average start is 7th with an average finish of 18th. And he's had a few car issues, which has dragged that average down a little bit. So some of those numbers are pretty skewed. But it's not really a true reflection of his affection for this short, bold marathon track. Another factor that also may help is that he's $10,000 this week. So with only having 4 other drivers costing more than him and starting more towards the top, look for him to be kind of a little bit lower owned this weekend, just because of the fact that he's won the last 2 races here. Joey's looking to make that hat trick happen here. Hashtag it's Bristol baby. And I think from that 10th spot position, his cost is $10K. He started from the 5th spot 2 years in a row. Combine those 2 times 5 is 10. He's starting from the 10th spot this week. I think it's a sign that he's going to have a good finish, produce some good points this weekend. Just a good combo with potential of laps led and place differential there, starting from that 10th spot. Also, he's gonna lead some laps. There's no doubt in my mind he's gonna lead laps. So when you throw those variables in there, it makes him hard not to play him. Is the percentage in your favor that he's gonna win 3 night Bristol races 3 years in a row? But anything can happen. Anything can go here at Bristol. So, but I definitely think you got to have him in your lineups. At least if you're not going to own a majority of them, you got to at least have some of them sprinkled into some of your lineups. But I'm going to be playing him quite a bit.
Yeah, no, Liehr, I had to say, with the week off, I missed the Rain Man analysis parts there. Like that was, you made my day of filming there. No, dude, I'm with you. Logano's just the man here, and part of me says that he shouldn't be able to three-peat, but part of me says the dude just destroys the night race here. And if I'm going to pick someone that's not a JGR car, it's going to be Logano to win this race. And like I said, other than the Harvick from the distance play, I just think we're all over these burning rubber plays this week. I think it's pretty obvious, and I think if you try to get cute and get away from it, that's when you're going to really get punished this week and lose a lot of money. So I'm with you, man. It's just, for me, and I know Adrian's just chomping at the bit, getting ready to say this, it's a matter of opportunity cost, right? To play Logano, I have to sacrifice a JGR car a lot of times. And there's just a lot of times I'm not willing to do that right this week. Adrian, add to it, buddy.
Yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, guys, but I like the play of Joey Logano a lot. But answer me this question: if I play Joey Logano, Harvick, and Carl Edwards, that's my problem that I'm running into, Jamie. I love the Logano play, and he's been really good at Bristol, and he's been really fast lately because that team actually seems more determined to win than a lot of other guys at this point in the season that I've noticed. And so they're willing to kind of make the strategy calls that a lot of guys sometimes don't. But like I said, I agree with everything you said, and Joey Logano's a great pick, but at $10,000, I can't have Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick, so I might have some exposure, but it's just not where I'm at this week.
You can do it. You just got to get dirty on your lower tier picks.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We'll have Michael Annett and Josh Wise on the team together.
Well, right. And what's funny, though, is the math actually supports that if those guys lead laps like we have them doing and that one place different, like if they divide it up relatively evenly and finish where they're supposed to, it could work mathematically. So,
Yeah.
But speaking of which, that transitions me into JGR country. And guys, I told you in the intro that they've won 7 of the last of the last 12 races here. That's 58% of the races. One thing I'm fairly certain of this weekend, as we've said, is the winner's going to come from Penske or JGR. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to lose a heap ton of money this week. And I'm okay with that. As fast as those cars are, I'm okay telling you that you should make those plays. Remember, I want you to remember, too, that these JGR cars were absolutely dominating Bristol in the spring race before they had the right camber issue and the right front tire, when they all blew front tires, except for Carl Edwards, who won the race. So I'm guessing they've got that camber issue fixed. They are still fast, qualifying 1, 2, 3, 5 out of the group with Truex right behind them. It's just, like, guys, they are absolutely fast this weekend, and you need to have them in your lineup. So I'm going to cover all of them really quickly, and I'm going to do it in the order of my preference. First is Carl Edwards sitting on the pole at 9,700. Cousin Carl has 2 wins here in the last 5 races and went 1-1 in the spring, leading 276 laps. If you didn't have him on your lineup, you were nowhere near the cash, kids. So definitely think about rostering him this week. He usually averages roughly right at 100 laps led here in his races and finishes near the top all the time. So he can even fall back as long as he leads a nice chunk of laps. You're going to be happy rostering him. Next is Kenseth. I love the Kenseth play this week at $9,200. He's the next JGR beast of Bristol, patent pending, right? And he went 1-1 in the spring of last year and led 142 laps there in the spring of this race until he had the tire issue. So if you had both of them, you were cashing even with him falling back in the pack. Kyle Busch at 10-6 only has 5 wins here and has only led 1,703 laps. Yeah, I said that right. 1,703 laps at Bristol. But he's on a streak of ending up in the wall. Maybe you can catch him at low ownership percentage this week. You're going to get the best driver on the NASCAR circuit because of his price and because of his recent track history here. It might be the lowest chance you'll be able to get him. Hamlin at 9,500 is also capable of being a boss at Bristol. However, he seems to qualify high here and fall back every race. It seems to be a pattern with him. Now, the second I say that, he will change his history and win this thing, and you'll have super low ownership percentage on him. I think he's the lowest owned JGR car this week. If you want to get cute, I'm not going to get that cute. I'm going to own either Cousin Carl or Kenseth on most of my lineups with a sprinkle of Kyle here and there. Truex is also in play at 9,300, but he just doesn't. I just don't think he's going to do what the other JGR cars do. Sorry, that was a lot of information, but you guys know how important the JGR cars are this week. Anything to add to it, boys?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love the Carl Edwards play. I just mentioned that. But I mean, I just love Carl Edwards this week, guys. I've looked at the past when drivers are starting on the pole at Bristol, and it seems like they lead around 75 laps. And if I can get that out of Carl Edwards, that'll be great. And also, first pit stall, anytime that there's a caution and a pit stop, that number 19 team has the best chance of anyone to get Carl Edwards out front to lead even more laps. And last weekend at Watkins Glen, guys, Carl Edwards probably had the best car above anybody else. No one was going to touch Carl Edwards until he got that tire violation and then ran into the spinning David Reagan in the carousel. But that team is bad and fast. I love the head that Carl Edwards has on his shoulders. He's really motivated to do well, and he wants to do well for his team because he knows how hard they work. And it's honestly it's pretty hard to find in this in NASCAR a driver that appreciates their team as much as Carl Edwards does, and I think that goes a long way, especially pushing towards the chase. But starting from the pole and having that first pit box, I just think it's beautiful for Carl Edwards. He's on every team that I've made so far. I love the play. It's just the fact of who else, you talk about these other guys with Kenseth. I love Kenseth's price at 9,200. He's pretty cheap this week. I'm not playing Hamlin at all. And as far as Kyle Busch goes, it leads me in the toss-up of Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch. Even though Kyle Busch has shown incredible speed, I'm going to have some Kyle Busch, but I just feel like Kevin Harvick starting from the 24th position is a better play.
Liehr, didn't you have an awesome stat about one-to-ones?
I did, my man. I was going to get ready to break it out here. But so since Bristol opened back in 1961, there's been a total of 111 races. The winner of 24 of those races have started from the pole, which when you break that down is a clip of 21.6%. But here's another interesting thing is in the last 4 races at Bristol, the winner has come from the 5th spot, the 1st spot, the 5th spot, the 1st spot. And the last 3 night races here at Bristol, all the winners have come from the 5th starting spot. So Kenseth starting in 5th in 2013, Logano back-to-back 14 and 15. But here's something else a little Rain Man-ish. If you look at the stats too, whoever has the most wins here has 5 wins. So that's Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch. But here's another crazy part. Matt Kenseth starting 5th. He has 4 wins here at Bristol. So if he wins tonight, that's his 5th win at Bristol. Just a little information for you there, kids. But, no, I definitely love the Carl Edwards play, starting from the pole. $9,700. When you look at the list of all the other drivers above him, you're talking about the guy that's starting from the pole. There's 5 other drivers in front of him that are more money than him. And yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. If you are starting from the front here at Bristol, you're going to lead, like what Adrian said, at least 75 laps, if not more. And having that first pit stall is very, very crucial and important, especially here at Bristol when we have just a ton of cautions. So I'm definitely with you right there when it comes to the JGR guys. Also, Matt Kenseth, though, kind of that dirty stat that I just threw out there, but $9,200 for this guy, especially here at Bristol, and he's starting from the 5th position. It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have quite a bit of exposure to Kenseth. And then Kyle Busch. I like Kyle Busch. He has a ton of great stats here at Bristol. For some reason, when we had the spring race here, he was my going to the garage guy. He ended up wrecking, 2-3 times. Poppa was really, really pissed off at me because I know he had a lot of exposure with him that week. But I'm going to have some decent exposure to Kyle Busch. He's a little different here when it comes to the night race. But other than that, Martin Truex Jr., my boy, my favorite driver, he just doesn't do it here at Bristol. This is not one of his fortes, one of his specialties when it comes to his type of tracks that he dominates at and does well at. And with him starting, in the later of the teens there, I believe he's starting in the 10th spot or something like that, or maybe 9th. I'm sorry, 7th. But as far as that goes, I'm just not really going to have any exposure to Truex just because his price is still a little high, $9,300, but there's just better options out there this week. I mean, I would much rather have 100% exposure on Matt Kenseth than I would on Martin Truex Jr. So, but no, definitely get your JGR fixes in there because at least one of those guys is gonna, 90% chance gonna win the race. And how crazy would it be though if Matt Kenseth ends up pulling it off with all those crazy Rain Man stats?
I just want to compliment you. Not only did you go Rain Man and figure out a way to go above and beyond the Rain Man call, but you did it using actual stats and analysis, bro. Props to you, man. I'm so proud. I'm almost teary-eyed over here. As you can tell, guys, there are the drivers you need this week and that you have to have cost a lot of money. So we're going to try to find you some value in the value segment. Adrian, kick us off, man. Where are you taking us down Value Road this week?
Let me tell you guys who I'm going to target this week. And the number 42, Little Mover Chevrolet. That purple, what is the purple people eater? That's what I'm going to call this car. Starting in the 23rd position, guys. I don't know if you're ever going to, coming down to the chase, drivers are going to really be up on the wheel. But tonight at Bristol, I think you're going to see a whole new Kyle Larson, guys. This race means a lot to him after last weekend, after he had a guaranteed top 5 finish, and then he got dumped in the last corner by Adrian. And keep in mind with all of this that Trevor Bayne is battling Kyle Larson for a spot in the chase, and I know that Trevor needs to beat him. But let me just tell you, Kyle Larson, I think this is his night, guys. He's a dream place differential player, just like Kevin Harvick with him starting in the 23rd position. He's only 8,500, which I think Kyle Larson at this track should be above 9K because it's one of his better tracks. The stats aren't necessarily there, but the driving ability is there, and like that's one thing I was trying to preach to these guys earlier. Don't have the stats to show it, but the driving tendencies and the green flag loop data, it really supports Kyle Larson. Here, he was running third before the team broke a track bar bolt. And they were running really, really fast trying to catch the leaders after, I think they started outside the top 20 in that race too. And they were up in the top 5 before lap 100. But with the chase coming up, these teams are bringing their fastest stuff and their best stuff. And they're going over these cars with a fine-tooth comb, even more so than usual, I think, so that they can make sure that there's no kind of mechanical breaks or something like that, like a simple track bar bolt or something like that they know how to prevent from happening in the future again. And I think his mistake in qualifying, he overdrove turn 3 a little bit in his qualifying lap, and it kind of hurt him. But I think that's going to really help his fantasy owners. It's just a play that you want to make. Kyle Larson has a lot on the line tonight. It's a really, really important race for his season if he wants to make it into the chase. And I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to get a top 10, a top 5, actually. I think he'll get a top 5. It's going to be hard to be up there with those JGR guys. But I like I said, I think Kyle Larson's going to be driving angry tonight. He's going to make a lot of smart decisions, a lot of fast decisions. And he's going to be the guy you want at 8,500.
I love the Kyle Larson play. He was actually my value guy in the spring here, but just because of that issue, didn't finish very well. But he loves this track, and he's one of those types of drivers that he always loves hugging the wall, no matter where, no matter what type of track that we're at, especially if they do have walls. By the way, 2 weeks ago we were at Watkins Glen, so it was nice having the weekend off, and I hope everybody else out there enjoyed it. But as far as Larson goes, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be hugging the wall. So he's going to be on the high line all night tonight. He's not going to be one of those guys that's going to go down there. Now, obviously, if he has to make the pass, because here at Bristol, it's just lap traffic, and then trying to make, how you're going to get around that lap traffic, but also holding your position and even, trying to pass the guy in front of you. So there's a lot of different things going to be happening here. And starting from that, 23rd position, I think Kyle Larson is definitely one of those types of guys at the $8,500 price point that you should definitely be targeting because he really loves racing here. And he's one of those types of guys that right now he's right on the cusp of making the chase. And we're less than, I think we're at 4 races to go, something like that, till we get to the chase. So they're going to bring it. They want to, ensure that they get that spot in the chase, especially after he got done dirty by AJ Allmendinger at Watkins Glen, which really irritated the crap out of me. But Larson and those guys, they've been running well. They're working really good together right now. They've got that momentum going into this race tonight. And also, I think, like I said, just ready to, solidify themselves as being part of the chase coming up here soon. So look for him to be real aggressive and wanting to get up front and stay up front. But I'm telling you guys, from that 20th position to the 25th spot, it's crazy how many guys that we have there that have a decent chance of moving up and getting in the top 10. But Kyle Larson is definitely one of those guys that you want to target and stick in some of your lineups.
Yeah, I like Larson, and I like what you guys are saying. The problem here is, for me, it's an opportunity cost again. And I just don't have money to spend in that 8,500 range. I would rather spend up and buy my guys in the $9,200 range that I think can win this race and will lead laps. And his place differential, guys, is not going to be enough. Even if you bump him, you have to bump him to a top 10 car Like, and he has to lead laps in order for him to pay off at this track, like at that price tag. Otherwise, you're better off spending more money on one of the guys that can lead laps. There's 500 laps. That's a premium. Like, those points are going to rack up, and they mitigate place differential. Like, it's just how it is.
Also, I want to say, Poppa, I want to say that I'm not picking Larson just because of place differential. I'm picking Larson because I think he's going to be one of the fastest cars tonight. I think he will lead laps. I think he will. I think he'll lead over 40 laps.
Fair enough. And if he does that, he pays off perfectly. That's why I'm saying I'm exposed to Larson. I like the play. It's just I find myself personally reaching down and going with Biffle or going with guys that are cheaper like that have the same place differential like potential, in my opinion, points-wise, and I save the money and can put those into a guy that I think is going to lead more laps. That's what I've done the majority of the time. So I like your play. I'm not critiquing it. I just didn't think there was much more for me to add on the, like, why play Kyle Larson. So I figured I'd break it down on, like, the opportunity cost there. All right, Liehr, who do you have for us for value this week, buddy?
I'm reaching down in the well, and I'm picking, from what I just mentioned, from that 20 to 25th position. But I'm rolling with the number 17 and Sticky Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He really started off the season with a bang, guys. I mean, he was one of those guys early part of the year where you were like, wow, okay, like they've really turned it around this year at the number 17 team. And, Ricky was doing really well. But then he's just kind of been stagnant, for a while. But Roush Fenway altogether has been, getting some really good results. But Ricky's not been one of those that has been a beneficiary of those results. But this week he comes to a track that he performs very well at. This is one of his best tracks on the Sprint Cup circuit. But with his roots, being in dirt track racing and the ARCA series and everything else, with his price, takes him back to one of those picks that you have to roll with this week. And he's $6,700. So he's kind of come back down to reality where he was getting up in the, $7,000 range. But, he's starting from the 25th position this week. But we'll need to move up semi-quick in order to be available, as far as any issues, towards the front. But he's raced here, 7 times in his career. He's got 0 wins. But out of those 7 times, he's got 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s with 6 top 20 finishes. So that's 80. He's basically got an 86% chance that he finishes higher than 20th position. So, based off of that, you're going to get place differential out of this guy. And starting from the 25th position, he's going to give you that value, and he's a steal at $6,700. So I definitely think you need to roll with Sticky Ricky this week in the number 17 because barring, some unforeseen circumstance, which, all right, guys, I mean, we're in NASCAR. We know this stuff happens every single week. Like there's going to be some circumstance that we can't predict or something that we just don't know is going to happen. But if he can avoid the wrecks, he's going to be up there. He's easily going to, I think, have at least a top 15, if not a top 10 finish. But kind of give you a little twofer here, and I'll hurry up because I know that, doing 2 for 1 pick. But my other guy that I really like this week, too, going a little bit back to the well as well, is Chris Buescher in the 34 Love Stop Machine. But so here we go again. I mean, coming back, like I said, from Chris Buescher, but I believe that, they have something special going on over there at that team. He's got a chance to land, in the Sprint Cup chase. He's, back down a little bit this week to reality. He's $5,900. As soon as he won the race at Pocono, they skyrocketed him up, up to the $6,000 range. But now he's kind of come back down to reality a little bit to where, okay, I mean, you really have to take a serious look at this guy, which anytime you can snag him for less than $6,000, you probably should be on him this week. And now I know
he's starting from the 12th position, yes. Jamie?
Yeah, he's starting from the 12th position. But there is a reason, because he and Bob Osborne, working great together, and their results are really showing as of late a ton. And they know that they got to finish well because they're right there on that cusp of getting within that top 30 to make it into the chase. So,
yeah, but
he's almost averaging 30 points within the last month. So I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are going to say, no, Chris Buescher qualified way too high. Adrian's already doing it. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be one of those guys that you're going to have to stick on at least some of your lineups because if he, performs well and has a real good finish, I mean, he's going to be the separator for you, especially at that $5,900 price. And it gives you so many different options you can do with your top end guys being at that price point.
Oh, Liehr, the real Rain Man came out on that one. No, I get where your gut's at on the Busher play, but my head says no with Adrian. I feel you. Like, he's running good, but homie, it just spells to me negative points, and I have him leading a total of 0 laps, and qualifying that high, no. As of your Sticky Ricky, I'll be honest, man, I was not on it, and it's because Stenhouse is usually A, overpriced, and B, terrible at most of the tracks. Adrian had to turn me on to this play. I'll be completely honest about it. I like the play now that I've looked at it. I don't know, Sticky Ricky is just so sticky when you put him in lineups. It's just he was so bad fantasy wise. I didn't even comprehend him as a play this week until you guys told me about him. That just, even though it's his track, it still is both of your value plays. I'm just ow. I feel like they're punches to the midsection. Adrian, your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Ricky Stenhouse play, guys. This is his best track, and out of the 4 races before the chase starts, this is his best chance to get a win. And the funny thing is, when the announcers kind of talk about the drivers who have chances to win, they actually mention Ricky Stenhouse out of anyone that has the best chance out of those drivers fighting for a win to win this weekend, which is crazy. But he does have the best he does have the best rear tire changer on pit road. We got that down already. But also, Ricky and that team, they just have shown a lot of success. He likes Bristol, and from his dirt car days, he really likes running up against the top. And honestly, with Kyle Larson starting right in front of him on the inside lane, it won't be too long until those guys get to the top and really start pushing that groove up. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is if they can get that groove pushed up to the wall, because they're going to probably run on the bottom for the first 100 laps or so. And when you do that, all the debris goes up to the top lane, and it's a little harder to brush off. But since Jamie, I don't know what he was thinking. Don't listen to him. Chris Buescher, what? But like I said, Chris Buescher, though, is a good finish for them as a top 25, not 12. He qualified.
Thank you.
Greg Biffle is my guy right here, guys. I like Ricky Stenhouse, but I found myself playing Greg Biffle more because he's starting in 34th, and I knew we couldn't go through the show without talking about it. That was for you, Karl Marx. But Greg Biffle, he's just starting too far back, guys, and with the experience he has, I just don't see any way he's not moving up into the top 20.
Fair enough. So, summation there before we get into my pick. We kind of like Liehr's first pick in Stenhouse, but we prefer other people, and we're pretty sure Liehr's smoking crack rock on the other one.
Yeah, something's going on.
Hey,
Liehr, you need a second to defend yourself.
Broadcast, all our fans are going to see it. The truth shall set you free. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna happen tonight.
Oh man, I missed the
and then when he does something tonight, we're just gonna start calling him the truth from here.
Did you consult the Oracle? Is that what this is all about? Did the Oracle tell you?
I did. Maybe I didn't.
All right, guys. For my value pick, I'm going to go with Landon Castle at 5,700. He was running in the top 10 here in the spring until Ty Dillon got into him and wrecked him. He qualified 33rd and was running low 20s in practice. If he can be one of the 20-plus cars that can stay on the lead lap, anything here is possible at Bristol. Now, I'm not claiming that he's going to win the race, but anywhere in from 20 to top 10 is possible, just like what he was running here in the spring. What I like about him is we've seen him do that, and we know that he's capable of running that way, and that's more than I can say for any other sub 6K driver other than Buescher, who we've already covered, qualified 12th, which is way too high, and is probably going to take you negative into points land. Other than that, man, Castle's just the right play if you're digging down for cheap value. You can go cheaper than that, but you're not going to get as much potential, in my opinion. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. If you can get a guy that's that's under 6K, and that same guy is someone that Carl Edwards had to put the bumper to for the lead earlier. I like it. I mean, Landon's shown that if he can keep that car in one piece and the race flow can go the right way where he can stay on the lead lap, in the part of the race where it gets really long and drawn out, he has a great shot. And anything can happen at Bristol. Like Poppa said, there's going to be one of those guys that you don't have on your team that's going to finish up in the top 20, and they're going to be like, how did they do that? How did they pull that off? Mm-hmm. Usually Landon Castle's that guy, out of all of them. If you look at those drivers under 6K as far as the equipment and driver ability, I just think Landon Castle has an advantage on a lot of them. I like David Reagan a little bit, starting from 37th. He's a little far back. And a little bit of Michael Annette love as well. But yeah, I definitely love Landon Castle because anything can happen in these races. And if you're going to pick the guys that we're talking about, you need to save money somewhere.
Yeah, I'm as far as Landon Castle, Front Row Motorsports has just been, doing very well as of late. But, Castle's one of those guys that he's got, for those later tier type of drivers, he's got 11 starts here. So he's got, a little bit of experience under his belt compared to some of these other guys that are going to start back there in the field. So, it's kind of a cat and mouse game, guys, because, we look at it from this, let's just look at the spring race. I mean, this is where, everybody that had Matt DiBenedetto got their money's worth out of him because he had a top 10 finish. As everybody was like, whoa, DiBenedetto finished in the top 10. And you remember how emotional and everything that he got when that happened. And
made me some cheese.
I got.
It made me money. It made me money.
Yeah, me too.
And so, I mean, that's totally, in play here again, where, you were talking about finishing, getting a top 20 finish. How did that guy get a top 20 finish? There's no doubt in my mind there's going to be one of those types of guys down there in the back part of the field that is going to just come out and, hey, he's going to finish, top 10, possibly, maybe a little higher than that. But it's just all about trying to pick that right guy. And I'm right there with Adrian, too. I do have some love there for David Reagan. He's got some good experience here, and he's $5,800 and starting way back there in the 37th position in that Dr. Pepper 23. So I've even put teams together, boys, where I've got Ricky Stenhouse, Chris Buescher, and David Reagan, and then that just lets me get whoever I want. Yeah. And I know that might be a little much for everybody out there, but but that's just one example of the kind of different spots that you can put in there that'll give you what you're looking for. But Landon Castle, definitely a guy that you should target as one of your lower tier guys to be able to afford some of those upper tier guys, because Castle's got the experience and he definitely could get a top 20 finish without a doubt.
Wow, boys, we are all on the same page here because, just like you said, Reagan and Annette are the other guys I've been using to fill out stuff. We're all in agreement. So let's see how much trouble we can get into going to the garage. All right, guys, everybody knows the Going to the Garage segment. It's a segment where we get to talk trash on drivers, on the cars. Maybe we just don't like the way they perform at the track. Maybe we don't like the way DraftKings has them priced this week. Adrian, who are you going to talk trash on and for what reason?
I'm going to take Chris Buescher. No, I'm just kidding.
We haven't done that yet, where somebody's value or burden rubber and somebody else is going to the garage. We can end up doing that someday, I guess.
Yeah, one day. We'll get to it. But actually, I thought about going a little conservative, guys, with this burden rubber pick and picking AJ Allmendinger. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell you that my going to the garage pick is Jeff Gordon.
Oh, no.
88 Chevrolet. I'm sorry, guys. Jeff Gordon starting in the 11th position. He can barely pay off his salary starting outside the top 20. I'm not going to pick him starting in 11th, especially because in the week-to-week experience and knowledge that these drivers gain, if you run every single week at a certain track, and Jeff didn't run in the spring race here, so he missed a lot of knowledge. But it's like riding a bike, but then again, it's not. Because these drivers learn so much about manipulating the timing lines and manipulating the restart box and certain things about restarts. And restarts are going to be huge at Bristol, and Jeff is probably one of the worst in the series at restarts, honestly. With all the drivers behind him that are more hungry and have a lot more on the line, this is probably going to be Jeff's last race for the foreseeable future, with Alex Bowman stepping into that 88 car next weekend at Michigan. So I see that Jeff would of course, want to do well for Dale Earnhardt Jr. But if you look at where he's priced, guys, it's not possible, because around his price tag, I think he's 8,800. Around his price tag, you could pick Kyle Larson starting in 23rd. You could pick Tony Stewart starting in 27th. There's just so many other guys. Chase Elliott. There's just so many other guys that have a lot more on the line, who have a lot more, week-to-week experience, and are running a one-off deal. I mean, my team is – I feel like I have to bring a punch at every single position. And if I feel like there's one little bit of hint of that a driver is not, 100% motivated to go out there and get that checkered flag, I just don't think that Jeff's not going to move someone to win the race. Jeff's not going to make a slide job for 5th place with 60 laps to go that's going to help him get into 4th on the restart to restart 4th and win the race from the high side. He's not going to do things like that you have guys like Austin Dillon and Kyle Larson and Trevor Bayne that are trying to fight for the chase. The reason I'm picking Jeff Gordon as a going to garage play is just because there are better plays out there. Jeff has nothing on the line other than making Dale Earnhardt Jr. and that team happy. And starting in the 11th position, he has nowhere to go but backwards, but with all the fast cars behind him. I just think it's going to be a long night for the 88.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I would, especially this type of track, I would just rather spend my $8,800 on somebody else who has already been here in the spring. Now, obviously, he's raced here a ton. I mean, he's got 46 starts and 5 wins. But those 5 wins, the last one came in 2002, and the 4 other ones were in a 3-year time period when he was just hot there. And that's all starting within the top 5. And here, with everybody, going for the chase, it kind of feels like one of those where, like you kind of said, that just waiting for Alex Bowman to come in next week, but like he's just kind of going to go for a it'll be a Saturday night drive tonight, but kind of, going for a Sunday drive. I mean, I just feel like he's just going to go in there and just kind of roll through the motions and not try to piss anybody off and really not give it, his full 100%, effort. Even though, technically this probably is going to be the very, very last race that you ever see Jeff Gordon in a NASCAR car, which still makes me sad all day long. But anyways, I definitely am right there with you. Now, will I have exposure to Jeff Gordon? Yeah, very minimal. But I'm definitely right there with you. I just don't see it this weekend coming from Jeff. But I definitely do wish him the number 88 all the luck tonight. So.
You guys know I'm a huge Jeff Gordon fan, and it's just, guys, he's just been in there in that car to placate the sponsors and make Hendrick and the sponsors happy. Unfortunately, that team seems a little off as a whole. Like, they haven't been running well all season. Like, despite him hopping in that car, I'm just with you guys. Like, there's just no reason to take that risk and make that play, especially at that price. Unfortunately. But I will say this, as a huge Jeff Gordon fan, I am ecstatic to get that guy back in the booth next season. It was one of the best additions to NASCAR commentary on TV that we've had in years, and he's made the sport just enjoyable like crazy. So, in my opinion, with his track history and as good as broadcaster as he is, if he wants to go around and a pleasure cruise, go ahead and enjoy it.
He's earned it.
You've earned it. Chill out, have a good time, bro. Make the sponsors happy, but I won't play you for DFS.
Yeah, just be on someone else's DraftKings team.
Right, exactly. Be on somebody else's DraftKings lineup. All right, man. Liehr, who do you got for us go to the garage?
All right, guys. As far as my going to garage pick this week, it kind of pains me a little bit to say this because I really like this kid, but I'm going to go with the and Adrian, I know, loves it because it's the 2-1, but going with Ryan Blaney this week. No doubt he's going to have one of the best paint schemes rocking with the Virginia Tech colors rolling this week. By the way, did you guys see kind of on social media some of the best college paint schemes of all time? Did you guys see that this week?
No, I missed it.
I did, yes.
That's pretty sweet. Well, I definitely encourage you to go check it out. There are some pretty good ones out there, but it's going to be a sweet ride to look at, but not a sweet ride to root for tonight. First, he qualified, a little high for my liking. Someone that's still in his rookie year, learning the ropes, learning what it takes to beat these other guys that have been doing it for years and years and years. Now, granted, he's been racing a long time, but not with this type of caliber of talent. So, but Bristol takes you a really long time to get your strategy together, and the only way you're going to do that is by racing on it and get experiencing with it. So he just hasn't had those opportunities yet. Eventually he will get there. And I mean, he's one hell of a NASCAR driver, but like I said, the issue with him is he qualified too high. But also, guys, his price this week is a little. When I look at it, I'm like, it's a little steep. But $7,800 this week. I think there's other drivers out there that I would rather have in my lineup than Blaney. He's got 2 starts here. Average start is 16.5 with the average finish of the same. But for me, like I said, his price this week takes him out for me, and he qualified too high, which is going to hurt him because he's definitely going to fall back. But it's just one of those scenarios where the variables are telling me not this week for Ryan Blaney.
All right, so dude, I'm gonna keep this short because we're running long, but I just want to be clear: Blaney overqualified, but Busher didn't.
I knew you're going to throw that out there, but it's okay. But you're talking about a guy that's $7,800 versus a guy that's $5,900. Even if Chris Busher finishes later, I mean, even if he gets a top 20 finish, his value for his $5,900 is going to pay off way more dividends than Ryan Blaney at $7,800.
Fair enough. Adrian, your thoughts?
Well, you see, I got the Ryan Blaney hat on. It's actually a Trevor Bayne hat. Like, I didn't have to tell you guys that. So Ryan Blaney, his car looks great this weekend, and the team looks great. And it's hard for me to fade this guy because it is probably my 3rd favorite race team behind the 6 and the 88. But it's just not the weekend for Ryan Blaney. It's a weekend for him as far as the speed of that car's gone, and they've had more speed than they've had recently. But starting in the 4th position at his price tag, guys, I think he's going to lead laps, which he's not. You're going to need the guys that are going to – if you're not picking a guy that's going to lead laps, you need to be picking that guy because he's going to get place differential. And that's simply what it boils down to in this. And Ryan Blaney, he doesn't have any ceiling. I mean, what your max is with him right out of the gate, and you definitely know the minimum is very, very low. So I mean, it's just not. I'm picking a guy like Ricky Stenhouse at this price because he's got 21 more positions of place differential. If you kind of break it down between Ryan Blaney and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you look at Ricky Stenhouse as being favored by plus 24 as far as finishing position. It helps make that decision a lot easier for you.
Yeah, an easy decision for anyone looking thinking about it in an odds format. All right, that brings me to my guy going to the garage, and it's a guy I like to pick on all the time, and I believe I've been right about picking on him every time. Casey Mears at 6,100. He qualified 21st, which is higher than his last 6 finishes at Bristol. Don't fall for this value trap, guys. There are better drivers to spend your money on. Please, please don't fall for the Mears trap. I see people do it every week, and I keep trying to tell people not to do it. He's just not the right place to look for the value. Anything else? I've got nothing, dude. He's overqualified for the garbage that he is on these tracks.
Yeah, Casey's a nice guy and everything,
yes.
But boy, I'll tell you what, the weeks I pick him, he just doesn't show up to the track. I'm not picking Casey. I'm not picking Casey Mears. I'm not picking Matt DiBenedetto. I'm not picking Chris Busher. I'm not picking AJ Allmendinger. I'm not picking Ryan Blaney. I got a whole list of guys.
Weird.
I don't know if it's one of those things that's trademarked by him, but all I can think of is the Akbar Bajabiamila. It's a trap!
Well, considering he stole it from Star Wars, I guarantee you
he
can't.
stole it from Star Wars. You see this?
He can't copyright that. We can take it too.
Okay, so but as far as Casey Mears goes, I know I said that between the 20 and 25th position, there's some good stuff going on there, except for one exception, which is good old Casey Mears in the number 13. But I would think eventually at some point the Gecko is going to jump off the car because it's tired of finishing at the end of the race each week. So, but
no,
hit the wall.
I'm blaming the Gecko, dude. Have you seen how slow that dude walks across that aircraft carrier? Like,
have you seen how slow he looks in that new commercial, that new Geico commercial where they filmed in Darlington? It looks like he's going around the track at 30 miles an hour. I'm like, this is supposed to look cool in case he's going at like quarter pace speed down the track. I'm like, are you serious?
all right, guys.
Accurate, though.
Clearly, we were talking trash on Casey Mears, and if I remember correctly, last time we did that, he actually cost us a little bit of money.
I know, but anyways, 27 starts here for Casey Mears. He's only got one top 10 finish.
Two top 20s.
Yeah. One. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, just avoid him like the plague, or the Zika virus, whatever you prefer.
Right on. All right, kids. Now it's time to get to a section we're really proud of. Not because we're trying to sell lineups or give them away, but because we like to put together a lineup and show you guys the proper process of how to look at drivers, think about what you're trying to go after, and evaluate salaries all at the same time. With that said, let's get to the contest for this week. It's wrong screen. But that's okay. You guys can look at the qualifying screen while I click on the right one. There we go. All right, guys, where are we going to start
Is there any doubt where we want to start?
I think we're all.
Well, I have a question. I have a question before we start this. Do we want to show them a Kevin Harvick build, or do we want to show them a non-Kevin Harvick build and show them how much money's left on the table without Harvick? I think you need Harvick, but you can make a team without him.
No, you can't. I think it's easier to make teams without him, so let's make a team with him and show them how
Let's
we're going to
start off with Kevin Harvick.
All right, let's start off with the two drivers that we just are all in agreement on, Harvick and Edwards.
Cousin Carl's the other one.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick and Cousin Carl.
All right. Now
here's to have my exact lineup.
Right, like we're probably going to get into turf of having lineups that we have, but that's fine. We do it like only the hardcore people watch this deep into the show anyway. So we'll give them a little bit of bonus here.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Exactly. So, guys, do we want to just put Kenseth on here and show what that does?
I like Kyle Larson more than Kenseth.
What? I'm sorry, son. Get out. Get out.
I'm sorry. I think Kyle Larson will finish higher than Kenseth.
No, dude, I wish the camera was on us right now.
Did you see how fast he was running in the spring, dude? He was making Matt Kenseth look like a grandpa with a walker out there.
Kenseth had 146 laps in the spring, bro. So he blew a tire.
Yeah, I mean, he came from outside the top 20, though. Larson did, and he was running in the top 5. I mean, you can make the decision with Kenseth. I think it's a good play. He's really cheap at $9,200. But with my pick, you're also saving $700.
Fair enough. Liehr, you break the tie.
Oh, jeez. If it was me personally, I'm rolling with Kenseth.
All right, Liehr broke the tie. Larson takes a back seat.
Looks like it makes two people who are wrong.
No, dude, we can put Larson on here still. It leaves us with 6,100 per driver.
You've already ruined it for me. I don't even want him anymore.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we can roll with my Busher play.
We're definitely not rolling with your Busher play.
No, I'm sorry. We are both vetoing that play. Like that. All right. So you want me to kick Larson now?
If I can't have Kyle Larson, can I have Greg Biffle?
Absolutely. We'll definitely give you Biffle. All right. So we have Harvick, Edwards, Kenseth, Biffle, and we've got 6,850 per driver remaining.
And this is the point, in my opinion, where you're really looking at those guys like Trevor Bayne and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Absolutely,
and a lot of guys like that. So it's really going to hinge on who you want. And if you were to throw a guy like Poppa, just throw Trevor Bayne on the team to show everyone how much money's left. That you can really get almost, I think, Austin Dillon around there, right? It
throws you back up to 75, which lets you get Newman. You're 100 shy of being able to get McMurray like you.
I really like Newman, but honestly, I like Jamie's pick of Stenhouse too, man.
Honestly, this lineup,
I think this is his best week. So I would probably take Trevor Bayne off the team and play Ricky Stenhouse and then see how much money we have.
I mean, you can play them both if you're playing them for place differential. Leave $800 on the table, and you're playing those three guys like the bottom 4 for place differential, and you have Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth leading most of the laps and running the race.
Stick your
and the good thing is the good thing is with guys like, you put in guys like Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne, they almost have to make a smart decision in every corner to make sure they don't wreck their car, because if they wreck, they're guaranteed not to make the chase unless they win. And Trevor's already in a situation where he's saying that they're points racing and they still want to win. Trevor Bayne actually did a 15-minute press conference in the media center earlier this weekend. He's one of the drivers that had media availability. And they were kind of asking what his outlook on the season was. And he says their goal this weekend is to go out there and try to find a way to win on strategy. So he said that they're not looking for a top 20. They're not looking to ride around. He said they're legitimately looking to find a way to get off strategy and win this race, which I think you'll find with a lot of guys battling for the chase, which is going to make this race even more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really should. All right. Well, guys, do we want to just end it there, or do we want to show them like the other punt?
No,
the punt.
Let's So right now do we have Stenhouse and Bayne both on the team?
Right now you have Biffle, Bayne, and Stenhouse with $800 left over. Now,
okay, so let's take Trevor Bayne off. Let's take Trevor Bayne off and see where we have left.
All right. Well, that's going to leave you $7,800. I mean, no, sorry, $7,000 flat. Sorry. That was
$7,000 flat.
Yeah.
And this is a tough decision.
Right, you're just back in the position, and I just like Bayne better than Danica, Amarola, Menard, or Boyer. Like,
honestly, if you're in that situation and you have that amount of money left, and
I may even roll like
you're already saying that you don't like Clint Boyer because of the equipment. I think playing Trevor Bayne or leaving $800 on the table is a great option.
Yeah, no, what I was talking about specifically to show them is like if you want to get if you're not on the Stenhouse Biffle Bayne train, right? What you can do is you can punt one of them. And when you do, like you basically you're getting rid of two of them. You punt one of them down to a Landon Castle, right? And save the money there. That would give you an extra $1,000. Plus then, like, for example, if we kick off Stenhouse and Bayne, right? And then put a Castle on there so we have Harvick, Edwards, Kenseth, Biffle, Castle. Then you have $8,000 to play around with, and that puts in a lot of those drivers that we were talking about. We haven't even mentioned Casey Kane, who runs well here, but that lets you make you can make a Blaney mistake if you wanted to.
I want to mention at that price point, Poppa, I really, really like Jamie McMurray starting in the 28th position. I don't know how we made it this far into the show and not mentioned him.
No, see, and that's that lineup.
27th to 28th could be deadly.
That is exactly the lineup that I would make with that variation. Like, if you wanted to go the Castle route, I would probably play a McMurray or a McMurray or Kane or Stenhouse combination.
I like Newman too. McMurray, Newman, both of those guys are going to be finishing.
All right. But guys, we ran the show a little long this week. We gave you a little bit of bonus coverage, even though short turnaround. So let's wrap it up this week really quickly. Say our goodbyes and have a good one.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Wish we could have got this out a little earlier to you in the weekend. Me and Jamie were watching some baseball last night, so we didn't get a chance to record. Also, we wanted to make sure that we got qualifying and everything in for you guys. So, like I said, this show we're recording, it's probably 10 in the morning Eastern time, so it should be up around lunchtime. You guys will be watching it, and you'll be able to squeeze it in just as you're eating lunches, getting ready to set your night for the night race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. It should be a really, really fun and exciting race. It's probably going to be really frustrating from a fantasy perspective. I suggest that you make as many lineups as you can because I don't think that if you run one lineup, it's probably not going to work just because there's so many laps and there's so many different drivers that can lead laps. Don't try to get stuck on a certain driver too much. If the stats are telling you to pick a certain driver, I think you should just go with, because they're usually right. But yet again, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love bringing this information to you. Try not to copy my lineups too much. But if I'm not winning all the money, I definitely hope it's you guys.
Oh, you're stealing my hook. Oh, Jamie, go ahead, man.
I say roll with your gut and go with a play like Chris Buescher. No, definitely. Adrian and I weren't watching. We were actually at both of our prospective baseball teams' games last night. So, unfortunately, we're getting the video out late to you guys this week. But at least we're getting it out. That's the most important part. So, we appreciate you guys watching every single week. Giving us the feedback on the YouTube page. Also, don't forget to visit fantasydonks.com. And you can hit us up all on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles are on the video as well. But good luck to everybody this week. Should be a fantastico race to watch tonight. I'm just crossing my fingers that old Mother Nature will heed to having us watch the race instead of. But here's the benefit: is at least if it has to go till tomorrow, we've got a whole day to watch it. So, but good luck everybody out there in your lineups, and hope you guys make some money. But hope one of us takes down that qualifier and goes to Miami.
Yeah, let's go to Miami, brother. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Want to give a shout out to all of the Olympians that we know follow this show. They did a hell of a job down there in Rio. Great job to everybody.
Especially Ryan Lochte.
Dude, just come clean, bro. I was drunk. A guy pointed a gun at me. I freaked out. That's all he had to say. Have a good week. Let's win some money, kids. Since Adrian took my line, I'll do something different. Bye, y'all.
It makes
Have a great weekend, everybody.